Hi there, welcome back to this module. So we're going to start stepping into the clarity of this module. So this module is going to be all about creating the new, better version of you. Obviously, doing it again via a different method, still having problems with my internet, but obviously working around it, we're still moving. This has got to be delivered because there's people's lives at stake. So this is the clarity side of it, okay? So we'll just do a quick recap of what we've covered and then we'll get straight into this module. So obviously right at the beginning, we looked at the connection side of it. So that was really helping you to connect again with yourself. You know, for so many people, including myself, you know, we go through life so disconnected that it's no wonder that we don't actually know, first of all, how we're feeling, what's going on with us. And we kind of just just plod through life, just not having a clue. So that's why obviously the connection is so important, because until we can get connected to ourselves and actually truly understand ourselves, you know, we're not able to then be in a position to actually do anything about it, because we don't actually know what's going on. It's a little bit like, you know, connecting the sat nav in the car, but then not actually turning the screen on. You know, you're not going to get very far. So that was the connection side of it. So really helping you to become more connected with yourself. And I really hope and trust that, you know, those modules have really helped you. And continue to do that connection work. You know, every now and again, just check in with yourself and just, you know, really just, I like to put my hand on my heart and just ask myself, you know, like, what do I need in this moment? Or, you know, what do I need to feel more connection? Or what do I need to feel more love? And just trust, you know, the answers that are coming up for you, because your body already knows, you know, you already know the answers within. The next C that we went into, we started looking at the change. So, you know, we started implementing what work needed to be done that you needed. Because obviously my courses is not just about giving you what you want, it's also about giving you what you need as well in order to have that change. So we had to make some changes and some little tweaks in order to be able to really start changing our identity. So that was the change side of it. So now what we're going to start doing is looking at the clarity. So the clarity is obviously, you know, really just understanding now, you know, who you are. You know, let's start knowing your purpose. Let's start showing up as the best version of you. And really ultimately to give you a clearer connection to yourself and for you to be more confident. So clarity, it's really important because, you know, I can easily ask somebody and, you know, say, you know, what do you not want? And, you know, people are so easy to give you the answer. But then actually when, you know, you sit down and ask yourself, well, okay, so what do you want? This is where people kind of become stuck, because they're like, well, actually, you know, I'm so used to, you know, we're so negatively programmed that we can speak negatively about ourselves. You know, we can just moan about things that actually, when it comes down to it, we're so wired and programmed to doing that. When somebody sits down and says to us, okay, right, here's a magic wand, what do you want, and this is what you can have, it's a little bit like, oh, okay, I don't actually know. So it's all well and good that, you know, you've invested in this course, and, you know, kudos to you for doing that, because, you know, majority of people, 99% of the population wouldn't even do that. So, you know, big massive round of applause to yourself for doing it. But what does becoming a better version of you look like? So in this module, it's important to really get clear about, you know, what this version of you is going to look like, because until we can do that, you know, you're kind of like going in blind. Remember, it's like, you know, having a sat nav, but then, you know, not putting the destination in there. So you might have turned the sat nav on, but if we've got no ultimate destination in there, then how do you know where you're going to go? You know, you could be just driving around aimlessly, which is what majority of humans do, because let's be honest, not majority of the people in the world out there are going to be doing the work that you're doing right now. So they're going to be walking around aimlessly. They're walking around like robots. You know, they get up, they eat, shit, sleep and repeat. And then before they know it, you know, they're 71 years old, because the government at the time of this recording has now decided that you've got to be 71 before you can have a pension, which is absolutely ludicrous. So let's not get started on that. But it's like, it's before you know it, you're going to be 71, and that's if you're lucky to make it to that age. And then, you enjoy your pension, and then what? Your life's pretty much over. And, if people want to live like that, to me, I don't call that as living, I just call that as existing. But if that's what people want to do, then, let them do what they want to do. But obviously you're here because you know that you are worth more, you know that you can become a better version. So it's really important that we start getting clear about, who do you want to become? What does this version of you, this better version of you, look like? And then from this place, we can then start taking the action steps, and we can start embodying this version of ourselves. So what we've got to do is we've got to get clear, and we've got to, write down, just take the time to, I don't know, draw a stick person, because that's me. I'm just not really artistic. And what I would do is draw a stick person and get clear, and I took my time in this, and I was like, right, okay, so I want to become a better version of myself. So think ahead. So if this better version of you, what type of things would you have in your life? What hobbies would you be doing? What self-development work would you be doing? How much would you invest in yourself? What would your relationships look like? And really get clear. And then what we can start doing with that is we can start implementing those work. So we have got to become that better version of ourselves in order for that to happen. So it's kind of like a dress rehearsal. We've got to kind of step into that version of ourselves. And I always remember when I first started doing this task, I mean, don't get me wrong, it doesn't come overnight. And there's still things that to this day absolutely scare the living daylights out of me. But I have to remember to myself, right, this is not the version of me that I want to stay. And ego has a massive play at this. So, something could happen in your life, and it's so easy to, go back to how he was. Because obviously we've played that part for so long, and now we're auditioning for a new part. So you've really got to be, and obviously the more you do this, the more consciously aware that you are going to become, and you're going to be like, oh my goodness, I'm slipping back. My ego obviously is there to try and keep you safe, even though there's nothing actually going on here. But it's like, okay, right, I'm identifying that, I'm seeing that, I'm stepping back into that other version of myself, which is a version that I don't want to be. So how would that new version of me handle that differently? And it's just about bringing the awareness to that. And the only way that you're going to be able to do that is by checking in with yourself, which is why the connection part of the work is just so important. Because I absolutely swear by journaling. I still do it to this day at the time of this recording, which is the 21st of February 2024. I am still doing my journaling every single day. And it doesn't matter where you get in life, there's always going to be a new devil. So every level is a new devil. And there's always things that are coming up for me. And it's so important that you check in with yourself and, acknowledge how you're feeling, acknowledge what thoughts are coming up for you, because it's coming up for a reason. And it's about every time we can do that, it's another opportunity that we can celebrate, because we're taking back control. We're taking back control of our identity. And if we don't do that work, we're very much going to stay stuck in the place that you already are right now. And obviously that is not where you want to be. And that's not where I want you to be, because obviously you haven't invested in this course to stay stuck where you are. So it's about, something's going to happen in your life, and it's just about taking that time. Just give yourself 5-10 minutes at the end of a day or in the morning and self-reflect about what's happened. And that's going to give you another great insight. I mean, I did this morning because I had something that happened with my son. And, and at the time I was like, right, okay, I could have handled that. Even at the time when I did it, I was like, I could have handled that so much better, because that's the old version of me. This is not the new version. So obviously when he's gone to school today, I've got my journal out and I've been like, right, okay, So let's acknowledge all the thoughts that are coming up for me. And it actually turned out that the thoughts and the feelings that were coming up for me was the anxiety, guilt, shame, and embarrassment. And it had nothing to do with what happened yesterday. It was being re-triggered by an old memory from when I was, 3 years old, of that same feeling and doing something, of like reacting out of emotions rather than responding. And that's why it was re-triggered. And I actually uncovered another belief that I had for myself this morning, which was, I'm ashamed of myself. And obviously, because I know the tools and the techniques, I was then able to really quickly shift out of that by doing, obviously I can do it myself now. And obviously, if you practice this enough, you won't even need to listen to the guided meditation. You could just literally just do it yourself, because you just get so what's the word? Like, just so used to doing something. It's just embodied into me now. It's like a really healthy habit that I am able to do. So when something triggers me, I know that I can just easily, quickly tap in and shift that resistance. And that is then stopping me from going back into that old version of myself. So from all that waffling, it's now about, getting clear. So, who do you want to become? And, get clear about what action steps does this version of you take? What does she do or what does he do on a daily basis every single day? Like, what is a non-negotiable? So for me, my non-negotiable is journaling and doing my workout and drinking 2 litres of water. That is my non-negotiable. They are my standards. They are my boundaries. And we're going to be talking about boundaries and needs in the next module, which I'm hoping I'm going to be back online, because I could really do with showing you a visual. So I'm trusting that in the next module, we're going to be able to reconnect together and you're going to be able to see me, so I can show you these slides. So that's your growth work for today. So it's about getting clear about who do you want to be. Get clear. What do they look like? What do they dress like? How do they talk? What do they do on a daily basis? What is their non-negotiable? What boundaries do they have in place? Where do they hang out? Who do they hang around with? And get clear, get really clear. So then once you are clear around that, it's about asking yourself, how can you start embodying that? How can you start stepping into this better version of you? Because remember, obviously, we've got to do the work, we've got to take the action steps. It's not just going to happen overnight. I'm not going to wave a magic wand and then you're going to turn into a better version of you. You've got to do the work. You've got to do the action steps, because otherwise it's just not going to happen. It's like people think positive thoughts and then expect a miracle is going to happen. No, you've got to take the action as well. You can't just think that you're going to get take a job promotion and then not actually apply for the bloody job. It's just not going to work, is it? So, oh goodness me. So yes, so that's your growth work. So get clear about what it is that who you want to become. Get really clear, get crystal clear. What do you like? What do you want your life to look like? And in order to have that life, who would you need to become? That's a great question to ask yourself. Because, for some of you, you might not actually know, but if you've got a goal ahead, where do you want, so say for example, where do you want your life to be in 5 years' time? You could have anything, so dream big. So who would you need to become in order for you to have that thing? That is an absolutely bombshell question. Boom, that has literally just been channeled to me. But who would you need to become? Because we've got to be able to become that person before we can have that thing, because we've got to be in alignment, we've got to be in an energetic match in order to attract in what we are wanting. And then from there, it's just about asking yourself, what couple of action steps can you take immediately in order for you to start becoming that person? And again, trust yourself. So, even if it's something ridiculous about, I don't know, wearing pink on a Thursday, I don't know why that came to me, but we're just going to go with that. If that is what's being called to you for you to do, that you do it, because there's a reason. One of my action steps was, again, like I said, to start drinking water. Now, if somebody said to me like 4 years ago that I would be drinking 2 litres of water every day, I'd absolutely roll on the floor laughing my head off, because, you know, drinking water for me was just no. Like, I was a very much a juice kind of person and have tea. But no, I now have just 1 cup of tea in the morning, and I will drink 2 litres of water every single day. And when I get like the intuitive download, I then like include like lemon water, hot lemon water, smoothies, and it's crazy. But because of that, it's just amazing like how it all has a knock-on effect. So because obviously I started drinking more water, that meant I felt more energized. When I felt more energized, that meant I was showing up more in my business. That means I can help more clients, and it has a knock-on effect. So we call it the compound effect. And there is actually a book, I don't know who it's written by, but there is a book called The Compound Effect. And it's, little action steps can create such a massive movement. Those of you that are in network marketing that are listening to this, you'll know all about this, like just taking those little action steps a day that you don't feel as if like it's doing much, but those little needle movers, if it's shifting like your direction by like 1% each day, just imagine like the shift that you can have over a year. Like that could be like 365% like distance that you could have gone, and you've just veered yourself in a completely new direction, which is going to open up so many opportunities for you compared to the old path that you was on. And it only took that one thing, just doing like one different thing or the same thing every single day. So it's about asking yourself, what can you do? What little action steps can you start immediately, and don't put it off. Don't just think, oh, I'll do it next week or I'll do it next month, because that next month will soon be the month after, and tomorrow never comes. So, why wait? Why wait? Why procrastinate? Like, let's start this movement. Let's start this shift together, and let's start, doing this together and starting straight away. So, with that being said, I will love you and leave you, and I'm trusting that we're going to be together over on the next module. So make sure you've done this work, and then we're going to start looking at needs and boundaries in the next one. So I'll see you over in the next module.